Ilia Topuria knocks out Charles Olivera in the very first round, does exactly as he said all along, and becomes the face of MMA. Media goes insane, UFC declares him pound for pound number 1, but is he? Is Ilia Topuria this unstoppable force? How will he do in lightweight? Is there anybody to challenge him in lightweight? Who is actually pound for pound number 1? And will size be the key in lightweight, or is he simply too good? With first round knockout of Charles Olivera, Ilia Topuria has shown us one of the greatest 3-fight runs in UFC history, knocking out 3 legends in a row, 1 champion and 2 former champions. As you all remember, he took the belt of Volkanovski, knocking him out in the second round. Then he defended his featherweight title against Max Holloway, knocking him out in the third round. And now he took the vacated lightweight belt by knocking out Charles Olivera in the very first round. Charles and Max are both former champions and legends of the sport, but they have not been champions when Ilia beat them. So is this the greatest 3-fight run the sport has seen? It might be. It's between Topuria and John Jones. When John was 23 years old, he came out, beat Shogun into a coma, then submitted Rampage, and then choked out Machida like a bird. Both are great 3-fight runs. There were some other great 3-fight runs in UFC history, but not on this level, not finishing 3 legends in a row in title fights. So Ilia Topuria is most definitely a very special fighter. That being said, how will he do in lightweight, and is there anybody who can challenge him? There are only 2 legit threats to Topuria's belt in a lightweight division, Arman Tsarukyan and Paddy Pimblett. They are the only 2 legit threats to Topuria's belt, and both bring size and grappling to the table. Looking at the top 10 rankings, Paddy is currently ranked at 10, which is kinda stupid. He deserves higher ranking. Dan Hooker is ranked 7th and he got knocked out by Chandler in the first round. But still, with his recent big win over Chandler, big following, and his prior beef Paddy has with Topuria, many people wanna see this fight, and it is more than likely the 2 will fight, unless some injuries happen. And Topuria kinda knows Arman Tsarukyan is the biggest threat to him in that division, and he wants that money fight with Paddy before it is gone, just in case. But are people overlooking Paddy's chances in this fight? I think people will massively underestimate the Liverpool's blonde Scouser, and we all know Scousers, they don't get knocked out. Paddy has better shot than people might give him credit for. Paddy will be a bigger man here, taller, stronger. His stand-up definitely ain't on Topuria's level, especially in the power department, but he doesn't really need elite stand-up or nuclear power to win the belt. He just has to fight a really smart fight. Even though Paddy is kinda basic in the stand-up, no matter how basic you are, if you understand the range game, you can minimize the damage and give yourself some chances. Paddy's skill set is not on such a high level that he is a better boxer or grappler than Ilia Topuria, but Paddy is very scrappy. He takes a great punch. He is very intelligent fighter as well in how he uses his skill set. He also knows how to manipulate space and distance, not world class, but well enough to keep himself out of danger until he can give himself some opportunities to drag the fight into those deeper rounds. Paddy is also a much bigger man. I ain't sure if people realize, but Paddy is a lot bigger, and if he can tire Topuria and get him to the ground and into those later rounds, he could very well end up manhandling Topuria. So there is some work for Topuria in lightweight to solidify his status as a champion, and he should most definitely fight Paddy first and then Arman Tsarukyan next. But wait, what about Islam Makhachev, and why is he still ranked number 1 in lightweight? If the man vacated the belt and was given and promised a title shot in a weight class above, why keep him as a number 1 contender? Kinda silly from UFC. Not like we don't know who Islam is, not like they're calling the shots anyway. He could be ranked 150, and if UFC wanted to give him title shot, UFC give him title shot. But never mind that now. Topuria should still fight Paddy and Arman next, and we will see how Islam does at welterweight, but most likely he will choke JDM out and become the welterweight champion. And then Islam's and Topuria's fight would be very big, almost Conor Khabib big, not quite, but almost. So is Ilia Topuria really the pound for pound number 1? It is really close call between Topuria and Islam. If Islam Makhachev rematched and beat Arman again in his last fight, I think most of us would agree and still put Islam on that number 1 spot. But his last win being Renato Moicano and just not much competition in lightweight division for Islam, beating up on guys Khabib already beat or replacements like Renato Moicano, just aren't as convincing as Topuria's knockout over Volkanovski. knockout over Max Holloway, knockout over Charles Olivera, Ilia Topuria's undefeated record, and for the time being, Ilia Topuria should be and is the pound for pound number 1. And Islam will have his chance to prove us wrong in his attempt to take a second belt in a division above.